Okay, today's topic is actually a little bit tricky, and I'm actually probably over explaining more than I need to, but this is a question that comes up a lot. A lot of people have problems with the difference between wa and ga, including myself actually. This is one of those things that unless you're a native Japanese speaker, you will probably struggle with, and it's okay. So the structure that we're going to learn for this chapter is just something wa, something ga, adjective. So in Japanese, it's perfectly grammatically correct to describe things using the particle wa, which is what we've been doing so far. Tomu-san no kami wa nagai desu. However, it is much more natural to say Tomu-san wa kami ga nagai desu. And now you're probably wondering, what is the difference between wa and ga? So for English speakers, the difference between these is really, really difficult to understand. So wa is considered a topic marker, which is something that doesn't exist in English. And ga is a subject marker. So you can have a topic and a subject in the same sentence, and they are different things. So whatever comes before ga is the subject, whatever comes before wa is the topic. Grammatically, you can change wa and ga and switch them around, and the sentence will still be grammatically correct. It's just going to mean something else. Okay, so let's look at these two sentences. We have watashi wa haraimasu versus watashi ga haraimasu. These two things mean something completely different. So with watashi wa haraimasu, this means I am going to pay for myself. Watashi ga haraimasu is pretty typically going to mean I will pay for everyone. So far we've just basically been using wa, and we've been using it as if it's a subject particle, and I haven't really explained it too deeply. But the best way to think about wa, I think, is to kind of think about it in your head as for something. And the way you can visualize it in your head is when you hear wa, like for example, watashi wa, what you should be imagining is a room full of watashi. So when I think of watashi, I think of all the things in my life, all the things I'm into, my interests, my age, what I've studied, what kind of clothes I like just like everything to do with me is in that room, watashi wa. And then whatever I say next is just going to be talking about one of those things in that room, but the visualization of all the things to do with me is still on the brain. So it's like, as for Mandy, one of the things about Mandy is that she teaches Japanese. And then it would be natural to keep talking about Mandy after that. So the first sentence structure that we learned at the very beginning of learning Japanese was something wa, something desu. So what it actually is like in a room dedicated to A, B is one of the things in that room. So if we use Tomu-san no kami wa nagai, our topic is Tom's hair. So not Tom, but Tom's hair. So in a room full of everything that is Tom's hair, being long is one of the things about Tom's hair. And this is really strange to say. In English it sounds really weird, and it sounds really weird in Japanese too. Because, who brings up somebody's hair as a topic? Unless you're just talking about another person's hair before this, and you want to talking about, and then you want to change the subject to the topic to Tom's hair. Otherwise, it's pretty weird. So in the sentence, watashi wa haraimasu, this is, of all the things about me, one of the things is that I'm going to pay. And it just assumes that means that you're just going to pay also for yourself, because you've brought up the topic of just yourself and not other people. So it's implied that the paying also pertains to just you. Watashi wa gakusei, right? One of the things about me is I am a student. This is fine. This is totally a normal sentence. This is what we have been doing before, is, when we talk about ourselves, oh yeah, one of the things about me is that I'm a student. And that's totally normal. And it has the implication that, like, I'm a student and also other things. Like, there's other things still left in that room that we can talk about if you want to. So yeah, the implication is like, and other stuff. I'm a student and also other stuff. Right? And also, like, using the wa in this case kind of opens the door for the conversation to continue to flow as well. So watashi wa gakusei desu, and you're kind of inviting the other person or yourself to continue to talk about yourself so you can get to know more about this person. Right? Because you're implying there's other stuff too. Do you want to know about it? Versus ga, there's no room. You're just saying a statement. So it's the subject of the sentence, kami ga nagai desu. The hair is long. Somebody's hair is long. The hair is long. And there's no implications, there's no room, there's no other stuff going on. It's just a flat statement. So back to the payment sentence, watashi ga haraimasu. Now you're not implying anything. You're not talking about a room full of just yourself and talking about just yourself. You are just making a broad statement of, I'm gonna pay. And most people would take that as you're gonna pay for everyone. Versus when you said watashi wa haraimasu, it is just like about yourself, if that makes sense. There is more wa and ga differences, and it is really, it gets pretty convoluted, and there's like all sorts of different situations where wa and ga are going to mean a different thing depending on the context. So if you see something else that doesn't really fit what I'm talking about right now, that's okay. There are other instances, and yeah, it's a tricky thing. Like when I was looking into teaching about wa and ga, most Japanese websites for teaching Japanese suggest not even talking about the differences between wa and ga, and just letting you see how people talk and then just like kind of copy the speaking patterns instead of really knowing what it is. Because when they think, a lot of websites and linguists think that the more you know about it, the more confusing it gets. So it's maybe better to not know about the differences between wa and ga. But I think that it's better to know about it, but don't have really super high expectations of yourself to get it completely right. It's just one of those things that's like and the in English. When people learn English as an adult especially, they mix them up, get them wrong, and it's okay. It doesn't really interfere with your ability to communicate with them. And the same is true for Japanese. If you mix up wa and ga, Japanese people will just like assume the correct wa or ga for you. So it's not really like the end of the world if you mess it up. And everybody messes it up. I still mess it up. It's fine. It's okay. So back to our original sentence, something wa, something ga, something desu. So it's possible for a sentence to have both a topic and a subject in it. In fact, sometimes when you don't see a wa in a sentence, you just see a ga, there is a wa that's actually implied somewhere. Like there is like a topic somewhere. It's just not being said. You can assume it. So, Tamu-san wa kami ga nagai desu. This is our basic structure that we're trying to learn in chapter 7. Is something wa, something ga, something desu. But note that you can't have two topics in a simple sentence or two subjects in a simple sentence. In a long sentence, you could have two topics, like when you're comparing things, but we'll talk about that later. So here's the differences. We've got Tom-san no kami wa nagai, Tom-san wa kami ga nagai, or Tomsan no kami ga nagai. And we'll talk about what these all feel like. Okay, so in the first one, Tomsan no kami wa nagai. As for Tom's hair, it is long. And it's just strange without any context, but it would be okay if you were talking about other qualities of Tom's hair. Like if you were just really talking about Tom's hair a lot and you want to talk about how curly it is, or how, I don't know, strong it is, or just like, I don't know. It has to be a bunch of stuff about Tom's hair. It's weird to just make a statement and then leave it at that in this structure. So I want to say that this one is kind of weird because there's not very many situations where you would use this sentence. And then we have Tomsan wa kami ga nagai, and this is the most natural. This is the form that we are going for in this chapter. As for Tom, he has long hair, and now it would be natural to keep talking about Tom because Tom is the topic, not his hair. His hair is just one of the things about Tom. And then if you're done talking about Tom, then you just like change the topic to somebody else or something else. Yeah. And then we have the weirdest one, Tomsan no kami ga nagai. And this one is really, really weird because it's really, really hard to imagine what the topic actually is in this sentence. In English, it seems like it should be natural. Tom's hair is long. It's like just a statement. But what's the topic of this sentence? Like I can't even imagine one because like normally when there is no wa in the sentence, you can imagine what the wa is. But here it's really, really hard. So it can't be Tom or hair because we've already put ga there. So it's hard to know. But the only thing I can think of that this could work for is maybe you're talking about in the wintertime, maybe fuyu wa Tomsan no kami ga nagai desu. As for in the wintertime, Tom has long hair, like just for wintertime. And then talking about more wintertime things, perhaps. Maybe that's the only subtopic I can think of that makes sense. But yeah, without an established topic and without any context, the sentence is just really weird. So, in conclusion, the differences between wa and ga are complicated. It gets more complicated. Yeah, and like honestly, the wa and ga differences are mostly focused on in like the JLPT N1, the highest level of the JLPT proficiency test, because it's just like such a advanced thing to be good at. So not something to worry too much about, but I just like to give you all the information I can in case that is useful for you, you're interested in that. I wish that I was told the differences between wa and ga when I was learning, because you know my Japanese teachers also thought that it was just like something that we would not benefit from knowing about, but I feel like I would have made less mistakes and like have less solidified mistakes if I had learned the differences early on. So I'm just making sure that that information is available to you as well. We will talk more about wa and ga in the near future. I'll give you like pretty much all the cases of it, but it is a lot, so just, you know, be easy on yourself, don't worry too much about it.